Gunnerfleeet cave is a small cave at Ribble Head, almost under the Great Viaduct, which is about 8 miles north of Ingleton. It's a very small cave which was ideal for our purpose, as we only had a 2,000 candle power Tilly lamp and also a 100 ASA black and white film. The star of the film, fortunately, was a young man, a very enthusiastic young man, who I do not remember the real name of, but we called him Chattering Timothy. He took part in the film with great enthusiasm, and his small size certainly was ideal for the place. Kodak 16mm camera. Ron Pringle, another friend and CPC member, he was looking after the Tilly lamp, the 2,000 candle power, which seemed to give a great light, but was only really useful in such a confined space. The camera, a Panoimic, had an automatic iris, and the only necessity was to supply as much light as possible. The film rated even at 100 ASA, it needed to be more or less all the time at full aperture. I can't remember the actual length of the cave. There's nowhere is it particularly difficult, and it's quite a shallow cave, not much below the rather boggy land above. He's making his way through, and I think at one point we get a brief view of one of the other members of the party. Our young man is looking around and found a sheep's skull. This adds a little bit of interest. As we get towards the far end, we arrive in the coloured part of the cave, and I thought it worthwhile adding this. It was taken some 10 years earlier, in 1950. You just get a brief glimpse of what you're otherwise missing. He makes his way through to the very end, and as I say, it is no great length of cave, and by then we will have used up our 4 minutes, I imagine. Fortunately, the camera work was quite unhurried, and we finished up with 4 minutes of not unreasonable film. When this was put together, we were quite delighted with our first effort, although we were never really serious camera people. But they gave us an opportunity to show our friends what they might have been missing. The last part of the film, of course, is quite appropriately taking him on towards the entrance, I believe, or towards the far end for a bit more colour. Yes, a particularly good colour piece there, in black and white as yet, but perhaps I'll have some colour. That's what my wife Sylvia caught a glimpse of, who was with us on this earlier occasion in 1950. There's really not a lot you can add to that, but I was told that the colour was largely due to impurities being washed through. In this case it will be iron from the boggy land above. I think you can get a form of organic iron. formed naturally in boggy land.